Hi, my name is Allie.
And I'm Evan.
And we're coming to you from theyoungfolks.com. We wanted to bring you our top 5 movies of the summer.
Top 5. Because summer's technically not over yet. Summer doesn't end until September 21st, so ha.
So we have time to talk about why we think the summer didn't suck like a lot of people did. We thought there was a lot of great movies to be found if you searched a little deeper. The disclaimer, we didn't get to see everything. We're poor college students. We saved that money from the jobs we were working really hard at. So we haven't seen Blue Jasmine, Frances Ha, Fruitvale Station.
I know I didn't get to see Elysium, or Monsters University is going to be coming out soon, or I didn't get to see Kick-Ass, but there were so many other movies. I get that everyone gets kind of disappointed by its big summer blockbusters when they finally roll around after that hype, but there actually were a lot of really good movies that came out this summer.
So to start us off, I think you have your number 5.
I do have my number 5, actually. My number 5 is the Wolverine. I liked it enough for it to sneak into that number 5 spot. It was a much more close and intimate story for Logan, as he was kind of guilty over the events of X-Men 3, where he did some killing, and he was offered a deal to regain his mortality, and as a result, he becomes a much more human character, and the ending was a bit too long and a little too action-y, mutiny, but Logan traveling to Japan and becoming more of a man than a monster really kind of sold it for me.
So the directors tried to forget about X-Men Origins too?
I know, I already forgot about it. That movie doesn't exist to me. If X-Men First Class makes up for X3, the Wolverine most certainly makes up for X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I couldn't be more excited, especially because of that singer for Days of Future Past next summer.
That's the only reason I'm seeing that movie.
It's not the only reason. Give it a shot. It's good.
And for Hugh Jackman, who I always love. My number 5 is Pacific Rim, because we harp on remakes and trilogies and adaptations, and a new idea comes around, and we complain about them too. Guillermo del Toro created this amazing, vast world and put, granted archetypal characters into the mix, but the fact of the matter is that's the point. The characters are one note, the world is not, and, he takes chances. I think the whole point with critics is we really just like to complain, sometimes without reason, but the whole point to some movies is that we have to drop the cynicism. It's pure escapism. Okay, I don't know why we have this problem now, but when I first saw Harry Potter, I wasn't going, that would never work. I mean, you just go in.
A lot of people did.
Oh, God. You just go in with a fantasy movie, and you suspend your disbelief, and you allow yourself to be wowed. It's hyper-visualized. It's crazy beautiful. It's just, I was sucked in the second those notes started, the second the credits rolled up. I was done for. I was sitting in my seat, mouth open, crazy excited, like a kid again. I don't know. I don't get why people are complaining so much. What trailers were you guys watching that you expected some
trailers were really
super
cool.
hyper intellectual films? I mean, it's amazing, but it's amazing for what it is.
If I may, insert on that one, because Pacific Rim actually made my number 4 spot. I couldn't have been excited for this movie even more. I grew up on Godzilla movies. I grew up on stuff like Gundam and Transformers and Voltron with those giant mech battles, and I couldn't have been more excited for this because it drew inspiration from the things that I loved at one point, and it actually made something original out of it. Granted, I was very critical when I first came out of the movie because I had expectations due to the name of Guillermo del Toro being the creator of it. I knew that there was going to be this vast, expansive, inventive world, but I thought there was going to be something a little bit more going on with the main characters and the overall plot, when really there's only so much you can do with a 2.5-hour movie, and the fact that he gave us the spectacle, the original-looking spectacle that we got, you can kind of sacrifice the characters being a little wooden and it looking like a 2.5-hour anime.
And just to tag on, for all the post-apocalyptic movies we've seen lately, and another one makes this list.
This is the end.
It's really nice to see a movie about that subject that's really, really hopeful.
That's true.
I mean, I left happy. I did not leave sad, and I think that's sometimes all that a movie can manage. But
I mean, I think you just left happy because of the pure awesome of gutted metal and
that too.
And
that too.
goop.
I liked the sword. But my number 4 is vastly different. It's The Bling Ring.
That is really different.
By Sofia Coppola. Sofia Coppola is one of my favorite directors, one of my favorite female directors, more importantly, so check her out. I know a lot of people hated this movie, and I know a lot of the reasons why is because of the femininity. People use the glitz and the glamour and the fashion as a criticism, and it shows why females are fed up in the business because, here's a film that embraces femininity without irony, without poking fun and saying that's ridiculous. And, it just shows how it inserts itself into a character's life. And like all of her films, especially like Lost in Translation and Marie Antoinette, what it does is it puts a girl in a certain culture, in a certain surrounding with like certain people she's around and guidelines, and it shows how she would react. In Marie Antoinette, a young girl is turned into a queen without any kind of segue. And in this, it's a girl who's living a life in Hollywood and is surrounded by these people, and how do you react? How do you measure yourself up to when you compare yourself to your peers? And on top of that, the movie's aesthetically beautiful. Some of the cinematography is, out of this world, and the soundtrack's awesome, and Emma Watson is a riot. Like, that and This Is the End has proven to me that she might have the best career out of the trio from Harry Potter, hands down.
Would you recommend watching it after watching The Sorcerer's Stone?
Yes, because it's bizarre.
That hair, man.
Yeah.
So I guess I should move on to
my
number three, which was Joss Whedon's adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing. This is a little biased because I am a Joss Whedon-holic. I love Buffy, I love Angel, and you get a lot of the great cast. You got Alexis Denisof and Amy Acker, and you have Fran Kranz from Cabin in the Woods, and you have obviously the great Nathan Fillion and obviously Clark Gregg. It kind of baffled me because I went into this theater very rusty on my knowledge of Shakespeare, and just the way that Joss Whedon is so meticulous about how people portray this dialogue and these characters' actions, I was able to understand it. It could have been a foreign film, and I would have understood every piece of emotion coming across, and I felt like I was following all the wit and all the story all the way through. It was a lot of fun.
Out of all the movies I missed this summer, I might be the most upset that I missed that one.
It was great.
I'm so mad. But
it's a great reminder of how hilarious William Shakespeare is.
And how versatile Joss Whedon is.
Oh yeah. He's
not just a superhero nerd, he's a Shakespeare nerd.
Oh yeah.
And it's wonderful.
No, he is a man of the arts.
My number 3 is Short Term 12, starring Brie Larson and John Gallagher Jr. of the Newsroom fame. And if you've seen the finale, you know that he's much better than it. So, moving on. The movie follows the two of them who help run a home for displaced kids. And when I watched the trailer, it was kind of like, I see how this is going. A typical indie film about troubled youth, coming of age, I thought I knew everything that was going to happen. I thought I knew every beat. I thought I knew when the emotional turn would be and what the emotional turn would be, and I was so wrong. It's embarrassing. It totally blew away my expectations. A lot of movies, when they have that heightened emotional moment in the middle of the movie that's supposed to get Meryl Streep her next Oscar, it's there for that reason. It is there just to be emotional for the sake of being, hey, look how well I can act. Look how emotional I am. Look at how well I cry. Whereas in this movie, everything they did seemed natural. It was well earned. I mean, it's probably one of the most authentic films I've seen. And, it is a star-making vehicle for Brie Larson if people choose to look at her for it. Who, by the way, is in everything recently.
And she is awesome.
She deserves to be. She's amazing. So, I know it's not playing in a lot of theaters right now, if it is at this point, but, it is so worth checking out. It's very, very good and very surprising.
She's definitely come a long way from playing Anne on Arrested Development, hasn't she?
She didn't play Anne.
What? Who was that?
That was another girl. You're thinking Brie Larson was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World as the singer ex-girlfriend. Outdid you? But
you totally outdid me on that one. That's like one of my favorite movies. Oh, well.
Your number 2?
My number 2. I couldn't not fit this in there. I know you didn't trek back into the dark month of May, but there was this bright light at the very beginning of the summer. Iron Man 3. I know a lot of people were kind of thinking this one was lacking, at least on the Iron Man. People thought it was...
You're wrong.
Normal Man. You're so wrong. This movie was awesome. Actually, I have you to thank for introducing me to Shane Black's other film with Robert Downey Jr., Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's an awesome black comedy detective film, and that sense of style from Shane Black totally comes across in this movie, and it proves, much like art, comic books changing writers and illustrator styles, these Marvel movies can change in that same kind of art style. It was just completely awesome, and I personally really thought that the twist with the Mandarin, while inaccurate to the comics lore, was just hilarious.
And just think if they had tried to do the classic Mandarin lore in 2013, it never would have gone over well. And if I can add on quickly, because I love this film, it's Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance since probably Zodiac in 2007. Yeah. So it's really nice to see him kind of move his acting muscles a bit. As much as I love him, like, don't get me wrong.
I like that post Avengers, he is the regular man of that group of superheroes, and they acknowledge that. They make him suffer from post traumatic stress disorder because he knows how out of the game he is now. So
no,
I couldn't be more excited for him in Avengers 2.
My number 2 is the first of trilogies on my list. It's Before Midnight by Richard Linklater, starring Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. And
I love that movie.
If you haven't seen these movies, do yourself a favor and go and watch them, because they are hands down the best written films of their subgenre. They define it. They absolutely have taken the reins in that sense. If you follow the first 2 films, Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, you know we're still following Jesse and Celine, 2 of my favorite characters in cinematic history. And you can't really give anything away about these movies because they're so dialogue driven.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that it is a masterclass in screenwriting, hands down. And, Hawke and Delpy give these performances that are emotionally vulnerable, and they don't play any tricks. In Hollywood, they like to pretend that they're 40-year-old actresses or 30-year-old actresses. The men have to get distinguished really, really fast. There's a 20-year gap when actresses disappear from 30 to 50, and then they come back at 50, and they're only playing mothers. So
this doesn't happen with these 2.
No, you get to see them age, and you get to see love in a real way. It's nothing dramatized. It's not some fancy love world. Sometimes the person you're with, you hate them, but you love them at the same time, and it's a struggle. And especially if you've been with them for enough years to have kids, and it's hard. And there's this fight scene in this movie that is so emotionally scarring.
Probably one of the most emotionally charged, one of the most intense arguments I've ever seen on film.
Because usually in film, when somebody argues, they take the camera away, or they cut it, or they make it so it's not as up close and personal, so you're not uncomfortable. But they want you to be uncomfortable in this film. So, I mean, it's amazing. I can't say enough good things about these films. I truly think they're some of the best out there now.
Fair. So seriously, and I completely agree. Masterclass in screenwriting. I love that. Richard Linklater?
Yeah.
And Hawke and Delpy collaborated on these 2 sequels and developing these characters and taking their experiences from their life and adapting them to these 2 characters and the way that they grow.
Sense of realism.
Yeah.
That wouldn't otherwise. Our number 1
is the same.
And our second trilogy on the list, it's The World's End, by Edgar Wright.
Yes.
Starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and I was going to let you take it away.
You want to let me take it away on this?
Yeah,
this movie is awesome. Seriously, I don't even know where to begin. Edgar Wright is quite possibly my favorite director. He just really has this.
He's in my top 5.
He just has this way of using the camera to just use the technical tricks to make everything look funny, and it's just brilliantly smart. And his movies just are some of the best that warrant rewatchability over and over again. I don't know.
I've rewatched Shaun the Dead in the last 2 months an embarrassing amount of times.
But that's the thing. There's so many little details that he just throws into his movies that you catch something new every time you see it.
Exactly. I mean, my favorite part of the movie, and the reason why I have a gross love for this film, is because of the character Gary King.
Totally.
I mean, this is a character that you don't see often because he's an anti-hero that you like. Yeah. And it's rare. And, you know, because, I mean, I compare him to the Tasmanian Devil in the fact that he is, you know, constantly in movement. He is his own foil. You know, he undermines his own happiness and his own success. There are so many little facets about this performance that, I mean, I feel like Simon Pegg almost goes unnoticed because he is this hugely versatile character and actor, and Gary King is this hugely tragic character that I cannot get over. You know, 2 weeks later, or however long it's been, a month maybe. Oh no,
almost a month. It's been almost a month since this movie came out.
I want to see it again. Like, you know, I'm still thinking about it, and you know, not to take away from Paddy Considine or Eddie Marzan.
Nick Frost even. He proves his versatility as well.
He really, I guess, plays against type is the way to put it. Yeah. Obviously, he plays different characters, but usually he is the one actively searching for laughs instead of kind of waiting for them to come to him. And, I mean, it's just amazing. You know, it's a cautionary tale. If you believe, you know, when you're 19... and the 5 friends you have with you right now, and you're going out, and that's going to be the best of your life night. Like, yeah, whatever. Nothing is going to improve, and nothing is going to improve for the better.
It really warns you of the dangers of nostalgia. And back to Gary King, I saw in an interview, Simon Pegg himself described, he had the character Sean, in Shaun of the Dead, obviously, who is like the biggest possible undermotivated man in all of England. And then you have Nicholas Angel in Hot Fuzz, who's the most overmotivated person ever to exist. And then Gary King is the greatest overachieving underachiever possibly in the history of characters. And it's so much fun.
He's motivated for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so see this movie. I'm seeing it again before it's out of theaters.
I know, I probably will. We even got our t-shirts up top.
So
that's our top 5.
Yeah, and make sure to join us again. We're
at theyoungfolks.com. We got YouTube, we got Facebook, we got Twitter.
We have giveaways for Twitter.
We have
for Gravity right now, so go on Twitter.
And make sure you go see Gravity when that comes out. Just extra note. Guys, if you liked this video, seriously, just subscribe to the page, like stuff, comment on it. If you have suggestions on what you might want us to talk about next.
Not sitting in front of a sunbeam.
Not sitting in front of the sun. Sorry, Boston evening, you know. So, yeah, if you guys got suggestions, please just let us know, or things that you want us to talk about, like new topics. Seriously, throw them out there.
But otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Totally. Yes.